Thank you. Then I just wanted to, I've been sitting in the back there, and I want to go back maybe a couple hours, but I think you said that in 2024, the idea was to get President Biden out there so people could see him, for people to see Joe Biden directly, is what you said. Do I have that right?
Do you mean in relation to the decision to do the early debate?
Yes.
I think that sounds right.
Was that your was that advice given by you?
As I recall, it was a consensus on the part of senior advisors and the campaign political team that having him out there more was helpful.
And not to be nitpicky, but did you agree with the consensus?
It's a consensus.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm your independent political analyst, no spin, no tribal loyalty, just facts, context, and balanced commentary. Today, we're breaking down a revealing exchange from a recent congressional hearing about former President Joe Biden's media strategy, particularly why his team chose to skip the traditional Super Bowl interviews in 2023 and 2024. It's a window into how the Biden White House managed exposure, timing, and messaging during a politically sensitive period.
But a consensus doesn't mean that there's nobody.
Yes, I agree.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Was that your view throughout your time in the White House, that people should see Joe Biden more?
As I recall, certainly during the campaign and then when he became president, it was definitely my view that to get him out of Washington, to get him into the rest of America, was good for him, and it was good for the American people to see their president.
Does that include getting Joe Biden in front of, or not in front of, but to participate in interviews with the media? In my experience, there are different ways to get him out there. We thought that having him go out there, give speeches, do events, actually get to talk to people was also very effective. But did you believe that the president should also participate in media interviews?
As was appropriate.
Can you expand on what you mean by as was appropriate?
As a mix of different ways to communicate, as our media landscape increasingly fractures, you have to work harder to get to more people across more platforms.
Did you ever advise against certain media interviews?
Did I ever? So I'd say any president, I'm sure our present one included, gets probably a couple of hundred requests a week for media interviews. So I would say that I almost certainly in the course of the White House did advise against accepting everyone.
Did you advise against the president participating in an interview that would air before the Super Bowl?
I'm sorry, when are we talking about?
Let's start with ever, and then we can narrow it down.
With ever? Okay,
Well, there were 4 years there's 4 Super Bowls. I'm the worst to talk about sports on this committee, but my understanding is it happens once a year. So any of the 4 that occurred during the Biden administration.
I think it's inevitable that she advised against lots of interviews, considering she said there were hundreds a week, and she advised against many of them. So.
No, that is true, but I'm asking if you ever advised against the president participating in the interview that would air prior to the Super Bowl.
To any Super Bowl ever?
Any Super Bowl ever in the 4 years that President Biden was.
Are you thinking about a specific request, about a specific interview?
Do you recall any particular Super Bowl interview that you advised on? There were 4, so.
Well, you're saying that you think that there were 4 times when some specific media entity requested the president to do some
Ms.
kind
Dunn,
of a,
please answer the question.
what's the question?
Did you ever,
Okay.
did you ever advise against the president participating in an interview that would air prior to the Super Bowl? Immediately prior to the Super Bowl.
Well, let's get our facts straight here, okay? They don't air the interview immediately prior. They do it as part of the afternoon programming. Many networks don't air the entire interview in its entirety. They pick out maybe 2 to 3, 4 minutes. So there's this myth that grows that somehow a president's given 2 hours to address the American public at halftime, which is simply not true. Given that, I think that in 2024, the White House made the decision that the president was not going to do the CBS Super Bowl interview. And I think that's what you're asking about.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, you could have asked me.
And what, why did you advise against, in 2024, let's start with that interview?
The first, as I remember, I'm going to have to remember this, it was going to be 3 minutes that they were going to show, and then an additional 20 minutes across their other platforms throughout the following week. So it really wasn't the huge interview that, say, Barack Obama had gotten when I was in the White House back then. But the second reason was a timing issue, as I remember, that we anticipated the Hur report was going to come out, and that we didn't feel that spending, an entire interview before the Super Bowl talking about classified documents was going to help the cause too much.
When you say 3 minutes, do you mean that I'm really showing how little I know about this, and
Okay.
Please educate me. When you say 3 minutes, the interview itself wouldn't last 3 minutes, right? You're talking
No,
about...
the interview was going to be longer. I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
No,
But-
so were you concerned that the 3-minute clip was going to be not a good clip?
Well, we were concerned it was going to be a clip that for Super Bowl watchers was not going to be what we wanted to be talking about.
And by not wanting to be talked about, you're talking about the Hur report potentially?
I'm talking, yes, about classified documents as opposed to, whatever else the president might have wanted to talk about. So that was the decision that nobody within the White House disagreed with.
And, thank you, and it's my understanding,
Or at least nobody I know of, I'm sorry, as I remember, so.
and it's my understanding that in 2023, the president also did not do that same interview. Is that correct?
In 2023, as I remember, and I wasn't directly involved with these negotiations, the White House, our press office, advised that the president do the pre-Super Bowl interview with Fox Sports because Fox was airing the Super Bowl, and that we thought it would be a good way to cross over into an additional audience, the Fox Sports audience, and that at the end of the day, Fox decided not to do that.
Fox decided not to do the interview.
Correct, because they didn't want Fox Sports to do it, they wanted Fox News.
And did you advise against the president speaking with Fox News then?
I don't recall having any discussion that was, I think we had the plan on the Fox Sports, and when that didn't happen, we just moved on.
Wouldn't that be a pretty good opportunity, though, to speak with some people who maybe the president didn't, that the president could speak to a different demographic of people by having him speak with Fox News?
No,
I think
there were a lot of interviews that we did, and there were a lot of interviews we didn't.
And on that one, why didn't you though?
No, again, I don't really remember the discussions around that.
In this hearing, a former senior advisor to President Biden was questioned about the 2024 campaign's communication approach. The goal, she said, was to get Biden out there and let Americans see him directly, not just through headlines or Beltway press coverage. She explained that senior campaign and political staff agreed that visibility helped Biden's image, and she personally supported that view. She added that even during his presidency, she believed it was important for him to travel outside Washington, engage with people, and remind voters of the human side of leadership. That perspective tracks with what many advisors say about modern politics, that authenticity and presence matter more than ever in an era of deep media fragmentation. The questioning then turned to a very specific topic: Biden's decision not to participate in the annual pre-Super Bowl presidential interview. These interviews usually draw massive audiences and give presidents a chance to speak directly to millions of Americans in a relaxed setting. The advisor confirmed that in 2024, the White House opted out of the CBS Super Bowl interview. Why? Timing. The release of Special Counsel Robert Hur's report focused on Biden's handling of classified documents was expected right around Super Bowl weekend. According to Hur, the communications team didn't want the president's short TV appearance to be dominated by that story. From a purely strategic standpoint, that's understandable. Avoid fueling a headline that overshadows everything else. But politically, skipping such a visible opportunity also reinforced critics' claims that Biden was overly sheltered from unscripted moments. It's a trade-off between message control and public perception. The advisor also touched on the 2023 situation. That year, the White House planned for Biden to do the pre-game interview with Fox Sports, since Fox was airing the Super Bowl. But those plans fell apart when Fox wanted Fox News, not its sports division, to handle the interview. The administration declined, preferring a lighter, sports-themed conversation rather than a politically charged one. Once the networks couldn't agree, the opportunity disappeared. It's another example of how polarized the media environment has become. Even a Super Bowl interview, traditionally a nonpartisan, feel-good moment, can quickly turn into a political battleground, depending on who's asking questions. Looking back, the Biden team's approach reflected caution and message discipline. Their strategy was built around minimizing distractions and maintaining control of the narrative, even if that meant passing up major media moments. That decision may have made sense inside the White House bubble, but from a political communication standpoint, it highlights the ongoing tension between protecting the candidate and projecting confidence. As Biden has now transitioned into the role of former president, these decisions offer lessons for future campaigns. Visibility matters, but so does timing, and every skipped appearance can shape public perception just as much as every speech or policy announcement. So, what do you think? Was Biden's team smart to skip those interviews, or did they miss a major chance to connect with Americans? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this breakdown helpful, hit like, subscribe for more balanced political analysis, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one. I'm your host here to cut through the noise with clarity and context. See you in the next video.